Thanks for hearing me today. I'm here today to ask you to save our neighborhood from being destroyed by illegal short-term rentals. For the last 3 years, we've been terrorized, and we've been screamed at, threatened, bribed. Our teenage sons offered drugs, our daughter propositioned multiple times by the leering, drunk strangers, and that is just the beginning. We've had to put up with weekend after weekend of all day and night parties, drugged out strangers in our backyard, either passed out or chasing me back into my car when I arrive home, and stinking trash and broken glass strewn on the swale and street for days. My family has even had to step in to help a woman kept against her will and stop her from being beaten. The final straw a couple of weeks ago, another lost, drunk guy, this time trying to break into our home at 3:50 in the morning. For the record, I will submit over 200 photos and videos as proof of the endless stream of strangers, partiers, and trespassers which I have documented coming and going week after week for 3 years. Each has the same story. They're either a friend or family of Ralph, the owner of the property. There is no way Ralph has this many friends and relatives from all over the world. They've clearly been coached on how to get around the law. They produce false 6-month and a day rental agreements and openly lied to code enforcement officers, since they, like all the others, are typically gone within the week. We have filed countless complaints and provided documented evidence of the owner's flagrant abuse of a system that is not set up to manage the mayhem caused by these short-term rentals. Fines are ignored, or simply the cost of doing business for absentee owners illegally profiteering. The daily prices to rent a home are so high, only large groups wanting to party on South Beach are the ones who end up renting. Sadly, it changes the character of the neighborhood because you price long-term renters out of the market and substitute them with transients who behave as if they'll never have to see you again. We, the neighbors and residents, are now in the unenviable position to become the enforcers. As a homeowner, I'm furious, and as a taxpayer, I'm floored. I've even begun complaining anonymously because I no longer feel safe in my own home. I'm rightfully afraid of retribution. How would you feel about the person who's become the barrier between you and a minimum of $100,000 in profit a year? The owner has already made good on his not-so-veiled threat to my husband to go along, or else he'll rent it out to gangbangers. Another neighbor is a young family with small children, and they're very upset about all the foul language, screaming, partying, and overwhelming smell of marijuana stopping them from being able to enjoy their own home, and like us, often forced to abandon our own backyards. The city, county, and state is failing us as residents. The city, county, and state is failing us as residents if short-term rentals are not regulated at the local level. We should be able to decide the nature and character of our neighborhoods. While they may work just fine in other communities, I understand how this could be a problem for hotels, which are the lifeblood of our city's main industry, which is tourism. But I am not a hotel. I am a nearly 30-year tax-paying homeowner. And residents like me are the lifeblood of our community, the fabric of which is being destroyed by these transient short-term rentals. My name is Sheila Duffy Lehrman, and I live at 3090 Alton Road, and I really appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Carolina?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. My name is Carolina Jones. I'm the president of Stillwater Drive Neighborhood Association, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to address a very dangerous bill that is working its way through the state legislation. I'll speak for the majority of residents on Stillwater Drive, and I can say with confidence that the majority of full-time residents in Miami Beach share the concern that cities across Florida are at risk of losing their ability to regulate short-term rentals. This is the core issue that sparked my community involvement many years ago. Short-term rentals had completely degraded our quality of life in our neighborhood. Where we used to have recognizable families and a sense of community, we now had transient visitors, strangers speeding down our street. People who were renting homes for thousands of dollars a week felt entitled to play their music as loud as they wanted on weeknights. They drove recklessly and made it unsafe for our neighborhood kids to ride their bikes or play catch in the front yard. At the end of the week, their 4 or 5 garbage bins would line the sidewalk, sitting there for days before getting picked up. These are just a few of the common incidents we experienced. We have seen and witnessed it all, and so have our children. This is not what a community is about. We didn't purchase our homes next to hotels or entertainment districts. We purchased our homes next to other families and other professionals to share a sense of community. When the renters would leave and peak season was over, our street became quiet, but empty. It was reminiscent of the foreclosure era, when 30% of our properties were unkept, overgrown, and in disrepair. Property owners don't care. They made 4 or 5 times the regular rate during peak season, so our communities looked like ghost towns and became easy targets for crime and vandalization. But all of this changed when our city took bold actions to regulate the short-term rental industry in our city. Where it was legal, the city implemented guidelines and safety precautions. Where it was illegal, the city imposed hefty fines. Finally, with significant fines in place, we had made an impact, and within a few months, the majority of investment owners on our street had shifted from short-term rentals to year-round rentals. So they're still making money, but we had regained our sense of community. Without these fines and enforcement, we have no protection from businesses essentially taking over our neighborhoods. We have zoning for a reason, because people want to come home to a place where their kids can play safely in the street and neighbors look after each other and band together in times of need. There must be a distinction between residential life and business corridors. And if I may, I want to make this one point before I finish. Miami Beach is a city of residents who embrace our visitors and our tourism. We are not a city of tourism with residents in it. Every single decision that is made in these chambers has been made with the residents in mind first. We all share those values. Every person in this room, every person watching on TV, every person elected to sit on the dais or working on city staff has a clear and undeniable primary objective: residents first. It is something that we're immensely proud of and something we cannot allow the state to strip away from us. Miami Beach is a community, and I dare to say that there are cities across Florida who also have a deep sense of community and feel equally threatened by the state's bill. So I'm asking this commission and every resident in Miami Beach and across Florida to stand up for your community. Tell the Senate and tell the House that they cannot strip away our power to govern our own cities. Each city has a right to defend their town and fight for what is right, what is in our best interest for our residents, our community, and our economy. We live here, we know what's best for our city, and we will not exchange the sanctity of our neighborhoods for ungoverned commercialization of our communities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, commissioners. It's nice to see you all. Mayor, good to see you. Assistant Mayor, good to see you. Vice Mayor. City Attorney, City Clerk, good to see you all. Lisa Almy, 5565 LaGorce Drive. I spoke before about a terrifying experience I had with a long-term tenant that rented my house for a year, who's now been evicted, thankfully. This tenant was using my house as an Airbnb, and I can tell you stories about the people that stayed there and how they treated my son and myself, who occupy the cottage. One man was in my son's face, pointing his finger, saying, "Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? We want our privacy." It was unbelievable. That said, I do believe that there's a place for home sharing somewhere in the world. I think that people have a right to share their homes. Exactly what that is, I don't know what the answer is for Miami Beach, but I know one thing for sure. San Francisco sued Airbnb, and the city of Miami Beach can certainly do the same thing, because Airbnb is lawless. They encourage lawlessness. They encourage people to make money. It's all about making money, and they do not enforce any of the rules that they say their host standards are standing for. They don't do anything except pass the buck. We're just an internet platform. So if you could somehow find a way to approach Airbnb with a strong arm and let them know that they can't get away with what they're getting away with anymore because it's destroying our quality of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Schwartz?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, indeed a pleasure to be here. Mr. Aguilar, it's been a long time since I've been before this commission. My name is Gerald K. Schwartz, not the Gerald Schwartz,
Yes.
the Gerald K. Schwartz. I have two issues that I want to bring to your attention. You've already heard a long list of problems with the short-term rentals. I am a native of Miami Beach, and I have lived on Pine Tree Drive for over 50 years. Over the last several years, that neighborhood has changed significantly because of the short-term rentals and the parties that go on in these houses that are rented to people on short-term basis. I know we give fines out and evict them when we can, but there's something that has to really be done, and I don't know what it is, but we really got to do something to stop the Airbnb company and their other companies from doing the business on Miami Beach that they are doing, because they are ruining the neighborhoods.